Welcome to another episode of Coach SpeakEasy. Joe Ruhlin today joined along with Melissa Volk, head coach of the Andover Huskies girls hockey team. Certainly, since you were named head coach 2013 for Andover, you've had an electric start to your coaching career behind the bench here for Andover. That includes 2 state championships, 9 section championships for you in 11 years. What do you attribute that success to?
I'm super grateful the types of players that we've had come up through the youth at our program. As a coach, you can only do so much with the skill that you're given. So, I've also been given some super talented kids. But also looking back, we've also had some teams that maybe weren't as talented where we were able to get to a state tournament with a 500 team. So we've had some great years, some success here, and it's just super fun to see the progression of the game. And then since I've been here for a while, to be able to see kids come back and see where they are as adults in life and just everything like that.
Talk to me about how you got that start first as a coach in girls hockey.
I actually didn't necessarily see myself as a coach when I was younger. I played high school hockey and college hockey, and I always thought of myself as more of a player, loved to compete. And then my first year out of college, I got asked to coach the U15 team at Elk River because my sister was on the team. And I said, sure, I'd love to help out because I wanted to stay a part of the game and give back. And then I guess I've never looked back since. I've played or coached every year of my life since I was 10 years old.
Well, the game itself, girls hockey, has certainly elevated. What are some of those changes that you see that have really improved the progression of the game?
I mean, the game has just become so fast and so skilled. Back when I played, it was one player on a team could make a huge impact, where if they could make, one hard move to the middle and go in for a breakaway, and if you had a player like that on your team that could execute on those opportunities, you could win a high school game. Nowadays, that just doesn't work. You got to have a number of kids on the team that can contribute and be a team that's pretty deep to be able to be successful. So yeah, the skill level has just improved tremendously, even in the last 5 to 10 years as well. It just keeps getting faster and better and more puck skills.
What do you attribute that speed of the game and the skill level of increase for girls hockey?
Well, I think just the fact that the game's been around a little bit longer now, but it's not just a girls' game that's improving that way as well as far as the skill game. I mean, the men's game too has definitely evolved the last 15, 20 years, and it's just fun to see the game improve, and these kids can do some crazy stuff these days.
Certainly can. Let's walk us back a little bit to you in youth hockey and then high school hockey at Irondale. Was there an event or an experience that really triggered your interest around hockey?
In 5th grade, I wanted to play then, but it was kind of past sign-up, so I would go to this outdoor league, all the way down in Mendota Heights because my aunt lived down there. I did that year, and then in 6th grade, I started on an organized team. And yeah, I just loved the game and just loved the ability to work hard at something and see your improvement. And I don't know, there wasn't necessarily one thing, I just love that competitiveness of that.
How about your very first goal in hockey at Irondale? Do you remember that?
I actually do.
Talk to me about that.
So it was my freshman year of high school, and it was my very first game, my first varsity game, and I think we played at Forest Lake, and I'm like, it's got to be at Old Rink because it's not what they play at now. But I remember we got our butts kicked 7-1 or 8-1, but I do remember scoring. But kind of the story at my house was my mom had 2 different shoes on, so that was the big story. Is we're at this game, it's our first varsity game, the big deal, and he got the kids running around all crazy, and my mom had 2 different shoes on, so we still remember. Yep.
That's great. Well, you're certainly part of the special club, that of just a very few that have over 200 career wins, and you continue to elevate that number each year. Is there a win or a moment in your coaching career that really sticks with you the most?
There's one game that we were actually just talking about the other day with Claire Buderek, who you had mentioned, who plays with the Frost, that has been with me since the beginning here. She was in 8th grade, my first year as a head coach, and she was on our varsity team that year. In her 8th grade year, we went to the state tournament for the very first time in our program history. But then her 9th grade year, It was definitely a year that we didn't have a ton of wins, but we had such a tight team and a team that was willing to work for one common goal. You know, they supported each other, and it was just super fun team. But anyways, we went into section playoffs like well under 500, and we had to play a top team in the state. In Elk River at the time, I think they were like a number 3, number 4 team in the state for a section championship, and we actually beat them, so a huge upset to go to the state tournament. And that was just a really special team that year. Like, we had plenty of losses throughout the year, but you know, we were able to pull together and win together as a team when it mattered, and you know, enter the state tournament. I think we were at 500. So that was a fun year.
When you're not coaching hockey, what transpires in your life when you're off the ice? You have 3 kids, your husband. Are we watching the Minnesota Wild? Are we thinking about installing maybe an ice rink in the living room? Or what transpires when you're not at the rink with the family?
Well, right now there's a lot of hockey, a lot of hockey. So, yeah, my 3 kids, they're 3rd grade, 1st grade, and kindergarten, and they all play. And I'm actually the head coach of the 3rd grader and the kindergartner. I mean, it's not too much, but it's enough, you know. So I'm here a lot, but I also think it's really special in my life right now that I can be here a lot, because I've always been involved with our youth, but having your own kids also in the program just brings it to another level, just even my visibility, because I'm at the rink all the time. I think it's special there that you know, kids in the community can feel comfortable with me, and obviously they know their expectations coming up in the ranks of what's expected to them. But yeah, we're at the rink a lot, but we do love to, and I met my husband through hockey as well. You know, I kind of call him my armchair coach, so he has to hear all about the team all the time. Girls hockey super fan.
Right.
But we do like to, once the season's done, you know, March, April, we really like to get away and travel a little bit and just get away from the rink. And we have other hobbies as well. So.
Do you find there's more intensity around the house? Come on, let's unwrap this. When it comes playoff hockey time, section time.
Oh, for sure. Once it gets down to that wire, like, that is my only focal point. And I get to be very tunnel vision. We'll just put it that way. And sometimes that's a little bit hard, I know, for my family. But I also think it's good for your kids to see you like passionate about something and understand you got to put hard work into something if you want it.
Do you find yourself coaching differently when it comes time to postseason than during the regular season, situationally?
Not necessarily. You know, our big thing that we do is we have a plan kind of throughout the year, and we try to really be consistent. Whether or not the players are always going to stick to the plan, sometimes, you know, get off the rails a little bit. But, you know, we're just always working to be improving. So by the end of the season, we're playing our best hockey.
Athletes who have, well, we were well over a couple of dozen who have now played at next level and collegiately. What do you attribute that level of development to, and is it some of the passion that they have about the game, willing to learn, willing to work, a certain skill level?
So obviously you have to be skilled to make it at that next level. So that's the foundation, but definitely what I've found throughout the years is you gotta have a love for the game. It doesn't matter how skilled you are, if you don't love it, you're not gonna make it at that next level, because that next level is a whole nother ballgame as far as the grind. You know, you're hockey 24/7, so if you don't love it, it's really hard to be successful at that next level. So I think, you know, instilling a passion and a love for the game is honestly should be one of the biggest focal points on us as coaches.
How do you build rapport and trust? I'm a believer that trust accelerates everything. How do you build that rapport with your players?
I think it goes back to how I said about being clear with your expectations. So if your players know what to expect from you, and you're fair about them and you stick to it, you know, they trust you, even if they don't necessarily agree with it. But if you're staying true to yourself as a coach and being fair and consistent, then they know that they can trust you. But trust is, you know, a key component in, you know, every relationship in life.
I got to ask you, what was that feeling like when you won your first state championship?
It was a great feeling. I mean, you can't really like put words to it. And that was a hard year, like looking back. We faced a lot of adversity, ups and downs, like I talked about. It wasn't an easy one. So for the girls to come together and play like they did and just dominate that game. And I just remember, you know, being in the tunnel at the Excel and looking out the amount of people in our community out there supporting the girls. It was just a really cool experience for them.
I'm always curious because as a coach, you're looking at things on the ice, but, you know, what do you see in those moments? Even though you're dialed in, but how do you view the game from that perspective? In one game, the deficit you faced against Minnetonka in that semifinal game, I could see the girls coming to the bench down. You called a timeout, and they were down by a goal. But I didn't see fear in their eyes. I saw focus. And I went, wow, they got this. And that semifinal game was just as exciting in that moment than the championship game. What did you instill with them during that time?
I don't know, that was a little while ago, but I do remember that game. And, you know, like I said, there's games that stick out in your mind, and you know, that's where it comes back to like sticking to the process throughout the season, where the kids are going to have to battle. Things are not always going to go their way, but they got to have that confidence in themselves and know what they need to do to execute and win a game, and they were able to that game. And you know, sometimes those games that are not sometimes, all the time, when the games are the most hardest fought, those are the best victories.
What are some of the traits that are important for you that a player possesses?
Well, obviously you have to be skilled. You have to be a good hockey player. But you know, most importantly, you got to be a good person. We always talk about how you could be the best hockey player ever, but if you're not a good person, that's what we remember of you. So you got to be hardworking, determined, you know, accountable for your actions, and just being the best teammate out there.
One thing I've seen you do through the years as well is really create a culture through the community.
Yeah, we're super fortunate here that our youth really supports our girls. But our girls know that in order for them to support them, they have to give back to them too. So we're super blessed to help in some different areas. And it just kind of creates that culture where if we're connected with the youth, as those girls are coming up, or even the boys as well, then they kind of know what the expectations are of the high school as they're going up. So some different things that we do. You know, every traveling team, we pick a game of theirs, a home game. They get to use our locker room, and then we cheer them on in the stands and are pretty obnoxious with the girls, making tunnels and stuff. We do a little U8 and U6 skills with the girls, so 5 different sessions, and make the girls really visible to the community. And like I said, we're just really grateful for their support, so any way that we can give back, we'd love to do that.
Anyone who's thinking about getting into coaching, high school, college, what advice would you have for them?
You know, just have a plan as far as, you know, how you're going to handle your team, and, you know, expectations, and just simple things like player absences, injuries, how are they going to communicate to you? You know, have an outline with that so that you stick with that and make sure it's professional as well. And then also have a plan for, like, you know, what is your goal for the program? Like, you know, obviously winning is always a goal, right? It should be a goal, but also, are you trying to develop them into young women, contributing members of society? Make sure that you have a good staff that supports your program goals. And then just finally have fun. They feed off of your energy, just like everything in life. If you have somebody who's just a dud out there every day, like, they're gonna feed off of that. So just have fun with them and help them to keep achieving their goals.
Well, Melissa Volk, head coach for the Andover Huskies since 2013. Over 200 wins and a couple of state championships. Among other things, you've set a tough standard, jumping in and getting right at it. Congratulations on your success. And thanks for sharing some of these key moments in your successful leader as a coach here for Andover and as you represent hockey across the state of Minnesota.
Thank you.